I'll turn the floor over to you. You can maybe share your screen so you can do your PowerPoint.
Mute and then go to this thing. I don't want that. I want to start here. I don't want to hit that. Okay. And let me move this. Okay. I don't think you guys see the little box of people, but okay. La Miserable, or as I thought it was pronounced, La Miserable, and that's why
Miserable.
La Miserable, and that's why I chose this, is because I thought it was a horror movie. I think I said this before, because I thought it was like, you know, the miserable, which that's kind of what it loosely translates to in French anyway. But yeah, that's why I chose this. But I did like the movie, even though it was a musical. But it was released on Christmas Day, 20. That's supposed to be 2012. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, it was directed by Tom Hooper and composed by Claude Michael Scourgebug. I think that's how you say the name. And the reason I put this is because for the longest time I thought this little girl was Dakota Fanning, but she's not. We'll find out later who she is, but she's not Dakota Fanning, because I was like Googling, I thought she was in this and she isn't. So but I just like, it's just all creepy looking. So I really like that. So Tom Hooper was born on October 5th. Hold on, this is the hospital.
That's
Hello?
Okay.
Okay. Never mind, it just want me to do a thing. Okay, so Tom Hooper was born on October 5th, 1972. He is a British Australian director who studied at Oxford. He has won 8 Academy Awards, 4 Golden Globes, 11, this is like the British award thing, BAFTAs, and several risers for Cats, risers, which is like West movie things, for Cats and Les Miserables. Okay, he is also known for his period pieces and rough camera techniques, with the camera being held. He uses a lot of Dutch tilts, wide lens close-ups. He was offered to film Iron Man 3, but turned it down for Les Miserables. One of the scenes when they're pulling the rope at the beginning, that is the touch, the Dutch tilt angle. When he's pulling the thing and it's like angled down at him, that's that. And then when she's getting her hair cut, and she's sitting there when Anne Hathaway's getting her hair cut, Fantine, it's like everything in the back's blurred out, but it's like really close to her face. That's like what it's talking about when it's talking about the wide lens close-ups. So they also have it when she sings I Have a Dream, and she's like has her shirt off and she's like sitting up crying. That's also another wide lens close-up in the movie. So but I just thought it was interesting that he was going to film Iron Man, because, you know, looking at his other movies, that just like threw me off. And like Elizabeth and a couple other ones, you kind of can see what he does, like the period pieces he likes the back then. So some stars in the movie, we got some A-listers. We got Anne Hathaway, who played Fantine. We got Hugh Jackman, who played Jean Valjean. I cannot pronounce French names. We got Russell Crowe, who played Inspector Javert. I practiced these names and I still can't say them. Javert. Inspector Javert. So Anne Hathaway, and it's not letting me see the top. Let me see if I can move some of this stuff around. Okay. Anne Hathaway was born on November 12th, 1982. She was one of the highest paid female actors in 2015. She has been nominated for 101 nominations, like award nominations, and has won 40, including 1 Oscar for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role in Les Miserables. This movie, even though her role only had a total of 15 minutes in the nearly 3-hour movie, like if you add all the times that she was on screen, she was only on screen like a total of like 15 minutes. She won this award, which I think it speaks of how great her acting was in this. She lost nearly 25 pounds for the part. She has been in 49 movies. A few of her more famous being The Princess Diaries, Ella Enchanted, The Devil Wears Prada, Becoming Jane, The Dark Knight Rising, in Interstellar, Ocean's 8, Hustle, The Witches, Lockdown, and many more. She is currently working on Armageddon, Time, and Elaine. I've noticed doing this, a lot of these actors are in a lot of the same movies. I also found that interesting. They just seem like they follow each other when it comes to movies. Hugh Jackman, who is up there, who's had I put both pictures to show like this change of him being, the beginning when he was a convict to him being a proper gentleman. He was born October 12th, 1968. He is an Australian actor and has been nominated for 11 awards and 2 Tonys and 1 Golden Globe, 1 Grammy, and 1 Emmy. I was surprised that he's not been nominated for a lot more. He has always loved musicals. He used to be a professional clown, which I thought was interesting. He holds the world record for playing Wolverine. So like out of the superhero franchise, he has played the same superhero more times than like any other actor. So like, how you got Spider-Man, but there's always somebody different playing Spider-Man. He's consistently been Wolverine. And he he won a world record for that. He was the 3rd choice for the role, actually. Russell Crowe being for Wolverine. Russell Crowe was actually the first choice for Wolverine, and then somebody else, and then he finally got to be Wolverine. So I thought that was interesting that he became so famous with it, and he wasn't even the first choice. And that Russell Crowe is in this, and he is actually the first choice for Wolverine. He lost 20 pounds for the role for this movie, The Miserable, and another 10 pounds of water weight right before filming. He went 36 hours without eating or drinking to give himself, right before the prisoner scene, to give himself like a dehydration, like the sunken eyes look. So he pretty much went without fluids. He then had to gain all the weight back for later scenes. And he has been in at least 55 films, with some of the most notable being the X-Men franchise, The Greatest Showman, Van Helsing, Remembrance, Rise of the Guardians, Logan, and which X-Men, and Wolverine. Him and Anne Hathaway both got very sick. She had a lot of depression because of all her weight loss and did not feel well, and neither did him. They was just so malnourished when they lost all this weight for these scenes. Russell Crowe was born April 7th, 1964. He is an Australian actor also, who has won 37 awards and has been nominated for many, many more. I couldn't get the exact count. He has been in 52 movies, including Gladiator, A Beautiful Mind, Cinderella Man, Unhinged, American Gangster. He also torn down the part of Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings for the A Beautiful Mind movie. And I thought that was also interesting. We got a lot of leading characters, so I'm gonna have like 2 more slides of people, because there's a lot of people in this movie. But no one knew as many as there is in the book.
Have you read the novel?
I'm reading it because of this. I am 800 page into it, and it's 1,800 pages. It is very, very long, and I like the backstory. I wish it wasn't as wordy, but they said that it was so long because back then they got paid per page or something like that, and that's why it's so long. But it is really a beautiful story, and I did notice a lot of discrepancies between this, the book, and the other movie, because I compared this and the other movie for my paper. So these are the next ones, and we got Cosette the Child is Isabelle Allen. Isabelle Allen is she was 10 years old at the time of filming. She was nominated for 9 awards for her performance, and she won 4 of them. She mostly done like Broadway, not Broadway, but I can't think of what they called it. It's the British term, like theater, that's still Broadway. But she's done several theater productions. She really didn't really go on. I think she didn't make any more movies. I think it said she was like in one other movie. I can't remember the name of it, but she just stayed in theater. And I think some of these these other awards. She won 4, and it was for this performance, being like under 10 years old. Like one of the was for one of them, but the other ones are for like Tony's, like for her acting on stage. Then you got Amanda Seyfried, Cosette as an adult. Amanda Seyfried has been in 45 movies, has been nominated for 35 awards, and has won 8. She was in Mamma Mia, Mean Girls, Jennifer Body, Chloe, Dear John, Letters to Juliet, and Red Riding Hood. She regrets her role in Les Miserables, as she felt that her voice was not strong enough, and wishes that she could go back now and redo it now that she has a stronger singing voice. Even though she was in Mamma Mia like in 2008 or 9, the first one, she was not used to, and I'm going to say this later on, but the singers in this sing everything live. Most musicals, they do the soundtrack months beforehand, and then when they film it, they just lip sing it. This one, he wanted it to be authentic and have the emotion, so he made them sing live on stage, and she was not used to that. And that's why a lot of these actors that was in this have been in Broadway shows before, with the exception being like Russell Crowe. I think she hasn't been, well, no, she was in a Broadway show, but she was Cosette when she was younger. But a lot of the actors in this have been in Broadway. Hugh Jackman, Anne Hathaway, all of them have been, not Broadway, but have been in theater, and that helped them a lot with the performance. Then you got Eddie Redmayne, who played Marcus. That's how I'm saying his name. I know it's pronounced a little bit different.
Marius.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he played Marius. He has been nominated for 75 awards, including 24, including one, and he's won 1 Oscar. He's been in 25 movies, such as Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. He's been in the new Dumbledore movie, Danish Girls, A Theory of Everything, Jupiter Ascending, and Aeronauts. And I did not know that when I watched this, and then when I looked at his face, it hit me with the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So and I really liked him in that, and I liked him in this, but I did not realize that was him till after reading like through his like movies and stuff. That's about everything. And he was on theater before this. Him and another one was, the 3 of them in this was actually doing theater productions when this was started. And he had just finished up. I think he was Oliver, the same as the other little boy we're going to talk about, Oliver Twist, before this, right before this, before they got this role. The next is the Thatons family. I just put them all together. The first being Sacha Baron Cohen. He played the father. He's known for his performance of Borat, which I knew his face, but I did not expect it to be him. He was also in Sweetie Todd, the Trial of the Chicago 7, Bruno, Alice Through the Looking Glass, and he has been in many lawsuits and had an FBI investigation on him and questioned by the Secret Service. So when he was filming Borat, when he was like in New York walking around and, you know, pretending to be like a strange foreigner or whatever, people called the police, and they had so many people call in about him and his strange behaviors that the FBI actually went and investigated him, and the Secret Service brought him in for questioning. And he is also a big jokester, and he's very, like, he meets the character, like his actual personality in this character, what I've read. I know that sounds horrible because he's a horrible character in this, but they seem to mesh because like he's been arrested several times and has said very crude things about women, and just he's just a very controversial actor. And some of the stuff that he does and what I was reading and stuff. So I think that he felt this part really well. Hella Bonham Carter she's been in 66 movies, the most out of all of them, and I did not realize that. And I think the Harry Potter franchise like boosts her movies up a lot, but she has been nominated for 171 awards, and she has 135. She was in a long-term relationship with Tim Burton, who she has 2 kids with, and she has starred in 7 of his films. And I found that interesting that, you know, she starred in a lot of his films. Some of her more known roles were in Fight Club, which I did not know she was in, and I've watched that movie. Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd, Ocean's 8, the Harry Potter franchise, and Great Expectations. Samantha Box, she Les Miserables was her debut film. She became famous after coming in third on a British talent show called I'll Do Anything. She has done some theater productions and was it a movie Dracula? I think it's the only movie I could find that she was in after this, but she has done several theater productions. She's been in theater, the Les Miserables, like she went on tour for it. She's been on tour for Oliver. She was actually how she found out she got this role was that Todd Hopper came on stage during curtain call and announced that she got the role in one of her theater things, and she had to leave that to film this, and her understudy had to take over for her to finish out the tour of the show, and I honestly forgot what show it was. Then you got Daniel Huddlestone. He was in Oliver. I do remember that. He played Oliver in Oliver Twist. He was 11 years old at the time of filming Les Miserables. It was his first film also. He had been in theater since the age of 9. He has since been in Into the Woods, The Lost City of Z, and London Town. And that's pretty much all I could really find on him also. And, that's all my people. So that's pretty much what I found on the characters. The setting of this was it said right at the beginning of it, 1815, 26 years after the start of the French Revolution, with the movie ending 17 years later in 1832 during the Rebellion of Paris. The plot is an ex-convict seeks redemption after breaking parole after serving 19 years in the galleys for stealing a loaf of bread. He is hunted ruthlessly by a policeman, Javert. Even after becoming a well-established gentleman, he adopts a ex-factory worker's daughter after her death. That's the plot of the movie. The themes I felt were love and redemption, mercy versus judgment, justice and injustice, more and righteousness, health, love and suffering, poverty and oppression. And these are just some quotes that was in the movie that I thought was very good, and also some quotes that it was in the movie. My favorite is to love another person is to see God's face, to see the face of God. But these are some things, and like when he says, and you will starve again unless you learn the law, the meaning of the law. Oh, and there's memes. I am Javert, whatever his name, when he says his name in the when they're pouring the boat, when he's telling him he's free, how he says his name when the guy's like, I'm such and such, and because he said his number, and he said, I'm such and I'm Jean Valjean, and he said, I'm Javert, and there's like tons of memes of that, and then it goes to like I am Batman, and just different things, and I just thought that was funny on YouTube. There's tons of memes out there for that scene. But these are just some quotes. Let me see. Let me do what I need it to do. And these are some key scenes that I felt was important. Like the runaway cart was when he was trapped and he was like pushing it up, and that's when Javert realized who he was because of his strength. The scene where he dies at the end of it, and like Anne Hathaway and everyone helps him, back. The little boy Jarucha, I cannot say his name. When he's on the back of the cart and he's singing and stuff like that. I thought that was good. I have a dream with Anne Hathaway was important. Master of the House. I just loved that song. That was my favorite song in the movie. Javert's suicide. And what was it? When he wasn't in the suicide scene, but one of the scenes to help you like realize why he's the way he is. Roger Robert's such a hard like stickler for the wars. He was born in the gallows. It was in the one song when he confronts him. But that's why he's so stickler. Like he just can't break away from that black and white. Like, you know, you're either good, you're either bad. You can't have no in between. And when he says that he's born in the gallows, like, you know, his parents were criminals. And I think he feels that, you know, if he did anything wrong in his life, if he broke a single rule, because he says he tried to not ever break a rule, that he would be a criminal just like them. And he thinks everybody. And when Vajon, oh my God, I cannot say these names. When he shows that he's honestly like a morally great person, he did break the law once, but he's actually a good person. That's why he had to kill himself. He just could not stand knowing that there's morally gray out there. It broke his ward views. So I think that's why, you know, he killed himself because of it. And Epatine with her death scene, and I just felt that's sad. She sacrificed herself for love. And that's some of the key scenes. I wish I would have added when Anne Hathaway got her haircut, and you'll find out in a second why. Okay, so some fun facts. The movie is based on a book by Victor Hugo. Hugh Jackman stopped drinking water to play the prisoner. Taylor Swift and Scarlett Johansson was considered to play Eponine. All the singing was recorded live on set. Sarah Barker's voice warms up the girl that played Eponine. She meowed. And they said you could know where she was in one set because she would hear her meowing between takes. To preserve the voices, they were not allowed to have any alcohol. And Russell Crowe had a hard time with this because he's supposed to be like someone that likes to drink. It took 24 years to actually make it into a film. Like they've always wanted to do it, and they made it like in the theater thing, but it took them 24 years to make like a musical, like from the idea to actually get everything going, like the budget and everything. The film was 4 hours long. I could not imagine watching this for 4 hours, but it was 4 hours long, and they had to cut it, and they ended up cutting 2 songs that were in the original theater production. Sarah Barks, the one that she had been, I told you guys that she'd been cast on the scene. Oliver, she was in Oliver too. So a lot of these people came from Oliver. The horse riding scene was added to punish Eddie Redmayne. So Eddie Redmayne was in the Elizabeth movie that Ted Hopper filmed, and he lied when he was being interviewed and said that he could ride a horse, and when he needed to do so in the movie, he could not. So they had to pay and train him to ride a horse for that Elizabeth thing. So for punishment in this movie, he made him ride for hours up and down that flag. Like it was just like a punishment for he lied in the previous movie that he was in with Todd Hopper, the director. Anne Hathaway insisted on doing her own stunts, and she fell out of the window. She also, her male hairdresser, the actual hairdresser for like all the like to do her hair and stuff, dressed up because she wouldn't let anyone else cut her hair as the female, and cut her hair live on set. The director told her she didn't have to do it, but she cut her hair live during the filming of this in that scene. That was all live. Her mother played Fantine on stage. And Amanda Seyfried fainted on set, and when she woke up, Hugh Jackman was rubbing her feet to help her, and Russell Crowe was rubbing her shoulders. I mean, it wasn't like a too bad way to wake up. The set for Dragon Alley and Harry Potter was used for the barricade scene. Then the actual book, the Fantine, the assault with the person putting snow down her shirt, was actually an incident that really happened to Victor Hugo. He witnessed a prostitute being harassed by a young man, and that's what she was assaulted, and when the police came, they arrested the woman, and he went and spoke on her behalf. And then he started thinking, what if she had a child and all this, and that's how Fantine appeared in his mind before he wrote the novel. So that actually did happen to someone. The cassette, okay, I told you guys that. The film was, the boy. So the boy that played, people don't realize this, but Jovit, whatever, the boy that played this, he appears in the movie as a baby. So when he's actually the son, which I showed you guys that of the Thunder. How do you say that family's name? The master of the house and the madam and Epatines and her parents. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's their son. So when the scene when she's swapping stuff and people when they're singing the master of the house, you know how she gives him the baby and the thing that picks up. That's actually him as a baby being carried away. It doesn't really say how he got with the resolution that the guys in this, but and it doesn't really show you that that's really their son, but it is their son. I just thought that was actually interesting. And in the actual book, it's, you know, you got the son, you got the Epidine, and there's two other sons and another daughter. So there's like a lot of kids, but they're not in the movies. And I think that's miniseries. I told you about that. Film was almost told you about that. And these are my questions we can talk about. What do you think the movie would have been better if it wasn't a musical? If so, why? And there's the rest of the questions. And I usually read this part.
You can stop your share, Jessica, and we can get to your questions.
Okay.
Organically, if you want.
Okay. How do I?
Very good job. Very thorough. I appreciated that.
I don't know how to stop this.
Here we go. I can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so let me pull your questions up so I can refer back to them. Let's see. Here we go. So what did you guys make of this film? What was your general impressions?
I liked it. I mean, I didn't get to watch the last 30 minutes of it because I was like, I started watching it at like 2 or 3, and then I was like, oh God, I'm gonna, like.
It's a long one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it. It was, and I saw Eddie in there, and I was like, okay, cool, Fantastic Beast guy, come on.
As we all know, I love musicals, and I love this musical. I found it really strange. So, every word was actually sang. That's not very typical of musicals. There's usually just talking scenes, then cut off the singing and dancing, like how Eileen hates. This one was very strange that it was all singing, but they made it work and they actually showed a lot of emotion. I thought it was really well done. Also, Helen Bo Carter is one of my favorite actresses of all time. She's lovely.
Yeah, I'm not that crazy for musicals, but this one I did enjoy very well. I thought a lot of the music was done very well, and I also agree. I thought it was very fascinating how every single line in the movie was sang almost. There's maybe probably like 10 or 20 words total in the movie that weren't sang. They weren't in a musical tone. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I think everyone did amazing in their parts. I enjoyed this one very well.
This was my first time watching it. I'm not a big fan of musicals either, but I did enjoy this one. There was some very powerful scenes. That was actually one of the first question was actually one of the question, the discussion that I answered because I don't think that the movie would have been as good if it was not a musical, just because the music really added to, I think, the emotion and the power of some of the scenes. For example, the main one, it was just very, Anne Hathaway's performance at the very beginning. That scene was just like a very raw scene, and it just made you feel, I don't know, just, I think Kashina, that was the question that I was going to answer on was the one that Kashina did, but I didn't want to answer the same one that she did. So then I just picked this one and it kind of played off of that one too. But, as far as like which song, but when she did her performance after she was raped and then when she sang, it was just, I think the fact that it was a musical just played into the emotion of it so much more.
Yeah, that scene's pretty amazing. She filmed it in one take. So think about that. They didn't have to go. She didn't have to keep going back to the drawing board over and over. She filmed it in one take. That song that you and Kashina mentioned. I think I read that she sung it 20 or 30 times in a row, but I think they took the fourth attempt. I think that's what I read.
Yes, you got it right. It took 8 hours to film it. She sang for 8 hours straight, over and over, redoing like that scene, and they took it like one straight through scene, and it was the fourth time.
Yeah, very much a physical performance here too, right? Because she did, as Jessica said, she did lose a lot of weight. This is definitely method acting, right? She and Hugh Jackman both lost a lot of weight in order to kind of portray that sort of poor, starving person of the time period.
And I'm guessing like the like, because I think Jessica said something about her falling into a depression. That kind of acted like, while she, as she's given that scene, that song, that kind of helped reel everything in. Yeah.
Kashina, you wrote about that scene on the discussion board. You want to tell the class what you wrote about?
Yeah, that song, it was or what was it called? A dream on, or something, a dream on, or something like that. That was my favorite in it. When it was like she sang it after she had got raped, and I could just feel her emotions, the hurt, the anger. You could see it. That's why that one was so like my favorite, just because you could just feel it. I think Anne Hathaway did a really good job.
Yeah, she was the only Oscar winner for the movie, I think. The movie won Best Picture, I think, but she won I don't think it did. I think she won Best Supporting Actress. I think she was the only actor who won. Very well deserved. Probably the amount of runtime she's in, that's probably one of the smallest amounts of time a supporting actor is in a movie who probably won an Oscar. The only other instance was Anthony Hopkins, who played Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. He was only in that movie for like 12 minutes. So it's between the two for least amount of runtime for winning an award. She definitely made her presence known here.
I wished her scene was longer. Like after reading the book and seeing like the Fantine's part in the book and how much more it could have been, that's the only thing. I wish there was more of Anne Hathaway at the beginning of this.
Now tell us more about the book, Jessica. I haven't read it, so tell us what it's like so far. You said you're about halfway through.
Yes, I'm about halfway through. I'm reading the unabridged. I wish I would have read the abridged version. But so it starts out, and the bishop in this movie actually was a bishop for the theater. Actually played Valjean in the theater. But in the book, the bishop, the first half of the book is all about him and how he's, morally good and he wants to help people and stuff like that. That's why he doesn't tell on the Jean. Fantine, she falls in love. Her and some girls are friends, and they're running around with these rich guys, and she's an orphan, and they're treating her to the final class, and she falls in love with one of them, and he promises to marry her and all that, and she gives her virginity to him. Well, she ends up pregnant, and around the time she ends up pregnant, him and his friends run off. It's been like 2 years they've been having this affair, like running around, and she finally gave in to him. She ends up pregnant. He runs back to his family and like ups and leaves her with no address or nothing. So she has this kid. So now she has all these fine silks and everything he gave her, and she could work, but because she's pregnant back then, women are looked down upon. So she ends up selling everything. She lives in Paris at this time. She ends up selling everything she has, and only thing she keeps is some clothes to make that baby some gowns. And she turned all her fancy silks into gowns and everything, and just wore rags. And then she goes and she's walking, and she's trying to get to her hometown to try to find work, because there's a factory there that will hire women. And she comes across this bar, the inn for the family, and they have two little girls playing, and they're well dressed, and the mother's like, talking about how wonderful her life is, her and her husband's life and stuff like that. And she's like, well, I will let you, she's like, I will watch your daughter for you. I'll only charge you so much a day. Not a day, so much a month to watch her. And it's like 7 francs or something like that. And she's like, okay, I will do it. And so she goes, and her plan is to go get established and then come back and get her daughter, and just lie and say that she was like a widower. So she goes and she starts working in the factory, and they keep increasing the pay. Oh, the child got sick. We need 20 francs this month, or I forget the currency. And we need this much and this much. And they keep increasing it. And she's writing letters, having someone dictate letters back. Well, one of the factory workers, like in the movie, finds the letters, like they're gossipers, and they go around. So they go and they find the letters, and tell on her. Well, when they tell on her the time the daughter's supposed to have some kind of disease, and they say, we're going to have to just let her die if you don't send us 40 whatever it is. And it's like a howl, not francs, but the next thing. And she's like, that's like a year's worth of wages. And at the time, she's like walking around, and someone offered her like 10 of that to cut her hair. So that's why she cuts off all her hair, because she had beautiful hair and beautiful teeth. So she cuts all her hair off and gives it for 10. And then this guy's advertising and offers for the rest of the money for her teeth. And he goes and pulls her teeth out, and she gives up her beauty. And then she ends up having a prostitute to send money each month for the child. And she ends up doing this, and she starts getting sick, and and all this. And then this guy beats her up and throws the ice in her chest, and she's arrested, and he's going to send her to the galleys. And she's like, please don't, please don't. And that's when Virgin sees her and takes her in. And he goes and tries to get the child, and they're like, no, no, no. Keeps writing back, making excuses why they couldn't bring the child in to see her before she dies, and she dies without seeing the child. So then he goes and collects the child like he does in this one. And they end up living in a convent instead of like this. They go and they live in a convent, and he works there, and she's raised with the nuns and stuff like that, like to be a lady and stuff, and nuns to read and stuff in the convent. He works for them, that's like that is about as far as I am. Like she's becoming a lady and stuff like that, but it's missing. Like that's it more. There's a lot more like with the bishop and how he is, and like Jovan, like it talks about his family, his sister, her kids. She had like 5 kids. The Trovarts, whatever, they have the 2 daughters at the beginning, and then they have another baby like when he comes to get her, and then they have 2 more boys. That's not mentioning.
I'm guessing
a lot
like
of difference.
I'm guessing you like Victor Hugo's writing style, considering you've gotten that far through it.
Huh?
So I'm guessing you like Victor Hugo's writing style.
No, I'm making myself. I like it. Like I like the tidbits of it. I do think he's a little wordy.
Yeah.
He wrote this big old, like a whole bunch of pages was like, I think it's Waterloo or whatever, just about this battle, and it has nothing to do with the book. And it's like 20 pages I had to read about this battle, and it had nothing to do with the book. I skimmed through it really, really fast. But yeah, I'm reading it, but I'm not taking breaks and reading other books. I'm just like, I don't watch TV. I just read. So it's like no big deal. But yeah.
Because the European literature of that time period, Victor Hugo's got that reputation, and Leo Tolstoy has that reputation too for War and Peace. War and Peace is like a super long book.
Is it worth reading? Because that's one of the books that's on my list.
No, it's not. It's not. It's very long, very windy. Unless you're into that kind of thing, Jessica.
I wish I would have read the abridged. Now that I'm reading this, I wish I would have got the abridged. But it is a very, very good story. Like if you look at all the undertones and read through all the excess, it's a really good story underneath.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting stuff in this movie to talk about. Russell Crowe's character is probably my favorite of the movie. I think he's kind of comedic in how set he is on arresting Valjean for his goals or for breaking the parole, right?
When I first heard the name Russell Crowe in the movie, I was thinking of Russell. I can't remember. He's got long hair. Russell, I can't remember what his last name is, but he's got like long hair and he's kind of British, and that's who I was thinking it was going to be. And I was like, how is he going to fit into this movie? I can't think of him.
Yeah.
I knew Russell Crowe as the traitor to the Lord of the Rings series because he turned down the role. I was like, oh, it's him. I was so upset. I was like, you could have been part of such a great franchise and you turned it down.
Yeah, there's lots of actors who turned down Lord of the Rings. Sean Connery turned down playing Gandalf. So he regretted that, I believe.
I just looked it up. It's Russell Brand I was thinking of.
I wanted to say how I felt about the movie, since you know that I don't like musicals. I was afraid to talk earlier because I was like, man, I keep feeling like I want to disturb everybody, but I kind of hated it, but I kind of liked it. What I liked about it was the powerfulness of it, and I didn't like the rape scene. I hated that because it was more like she was trying to prostitute herself out in order to make money or something, and oh God, she just went through a lot in that scene. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle watching this anymore. The singing killed my nerves. I'll just say that part right now. But I did like how powerful it was with her singing and stuff. It really brought a lot of emotions out. But I did kind of hate all that singing. It got on my nerves real bad. But it was a pretty good movie, I guess, considering I don't like musicals that well. And it did take a lot for me to fight through it and watch it, only because I didn't like the killings in it. There was just a lot of disturbing parts for me, and the emotions of how the actors was, I think, was the parts that really kind of got to me with the emotions they had. So it was pretty cool. I liked it, I guess. In a way, I didn't like all that singing that killed me. So I just want to say that real quick.
Yeah, the singing grows on you. Like that's the first time I watched it, Aline, I felt a lot like you did, but second time I watched it here for class, it grows on you. It grows on you.
Yeah, it did. It growed on me. What part I liked, well, it bothered me the most was the rape scene because they cut her hair. That made me mad. I didn't like that part that they cut her hair. I was like, oh my God, she had beautiful hair. I love long hair on anybody. Some people, it's better with short hair, I guess. It suits them more. But I did not like her short hair. It about killed me to see that happen to her. And I was like, oh my God. I just wanted to fight everybody in the movie that was treating her wrong and bad.
Yeah, I was going to say a second ago, Crowe's character Javert, there's a lot of philosophy going on in this movie. Javert's character, the reason why that he's so hell bent on getting Valjean, that's because if you read a lot of philosophy, Immanuel Kant is a famous ethics writer, and Kant's morality, like how do you define morality, right? This is a big question that was going on around the time Victor Hugo wrote this novel back in the 1800s. How do you define morality? And Kant saw morality as there's no gray. The world is full of black and white, right? There's no gray when it comes to morality. You're either right or you're wrong. And part of what makes the Javert character so interesting is the fact that he's like that, right? There's the law. The law can't ever be broken. So this is a character who's very much dead set on never bending the law. to the point where he kills himself at the end, right? Because he can't imagine a world with Valjean running free, even though Valjean spared his life, right? So I don't know how you guys felt about this character, if you thought he was annoying or comical or what have you, maybe a bit of both, but hopefully I explained there why he's like that, because Kantian ethics is all about that absolute morality. There's no room to bend it. What did you guys think of this character?
I really liked his character. I thought it was really good. Just how he believed right was right and wrong is wrong, when most worlds actually just that weird racing. But one thing that really struck me weird was when he committed suicide. I felt like he went against all of his beliefs, because most people who are Christians and stuff believe suicide is a sin. You're automatically going to go to hell for it. And he was a very uptight kind of Christian man. And I feel like he would have believed that. And I was like, okay. He went on and on about how I can't pronounce the French names at the moment, but Hugh Jackman's character was going to hell just because of stealing a loaf of bread. But all sin is sin. But some people believe that sin's on different levels. If you go by the Bible, that all sin is sin. His stealing a loaf of bread is the same amount of sin as committing suicide. I just thought that was really strange that at the very end he went against his morals and went on and committed suicide.
I'm glad you brought the Christian themes into this, Jane McCall. So this is part of the whole movie's bigger puzzle too. One of Jessica's discussion questions was about why does the bishop so forgiving of Valjean at the beginning whenever Valjean steals the bread, right? Well, in a way, it depends on what. This is all Catholicism in the movie, right? Because France has always been a very Catholic country. But in a way, Javert's character sort of forgets that God's merciful, right? That God is willing to go out of his way to forgive your sins, right? In his sort of quest of absolute morality, he kind of forgets that God is forgiving if you just ask for forgiveness. So yeah, that might be your answer there on why he kills himself at the end, right? Because he forgets that he can't. A world where this guy gets away with this crime is unfathomable to him. So it's definitely an exaggerated character, but yeah, this is the type of Christian who forgets that you can be forgiven for your sins, if that makes sense.
He remembers that God is a vengeful God instead of a powerful God instead of a merciful and loving God. That's a lot. That reminds me of a lot of modern day, like, I'm a Christian myself, but it reminds me a lot of the typical Bible thumping, like, you're going to hell type of Christians. They're like, they forget the good parts of God. They only remember like the stuff that will bring you down to your knees.
Now, like the Old Testament, God in the Old Testament has that reputation as being like always angry and vengeful and all that, right? Compared to the New Testament, where Christ is much more, I don't know, forgiving. Yeah, Valjean seems to, not Valjean, but Javert seems to have that maybe Old Testament sensibility. I love the scene where they're fighting swords at the beginning, pretty close to the beginning, and like they're just like singing back and forth with each other. I always get a kick out of that scene. Crowe got a lot of flack for his performance because a lot of people said that he can't sing worth a crap. I thought he did great. I can't imagine anybody else playing this part, frankly, after watching this movie.
Yeah, I put in my discussion post, I thought he was a little spotty at times with his music, but I didn't think he was that bad. I didn't think he was terrible on his part. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, his sort of gruff demeanor, right? That sort of adds to the character, I think.
That's what I thought too, kind of like the rugged, gruff. Yeah, I think because if it would have been somebody that would have been, I don't know, like would have had a smooth, you know what I mean, like certain voice, it would have just gave the character a whole different, just a whole different type of a character.
How did yeah, I agree, Stacey. How did you guys think about Hugh Jackman? You've already seen him in Logan in this class. What did you make of his performance as Valjean? If you watch the X-Men movies, you wouldn't think to yourself, this guy can sing, right? But I think he can. I think he does. I think he did a great job.
Yeah, I'd heard about his past in Broadway, so I thought he'd probably do a good job, and he did. I thought I was impressed with his range, his build, with how different his characters were in Logan and in this movie, and how he managed to nail both parts.
You know, I was thinking as I was watching this, I was thinking this and Logan are kind of similar because they both adopt a little girl. Both the characters do, sort of raise them up. So both movies have that similarity.
The guy that made this, it was a running joke that he wouldn't have made the movie without Hugh Jackman. Like, I can't remember. I didn't put it in the thing, but it was like the whole time it was like around Hugh Jackman's schedule. Like anything that went wrong, like I don't know why, but the Todd Hopper was obsessed with having Hugh Jackman play that part more than any of the other characters in their parts.
Yeah, he does a good job, like even portraying the different ages of this character. That's a hard thing to pull off. Right, we get like 40-year-old Valjean and 60-plus-year-old Valjean. So he does a good job even showing their age range as the movie goes on. Yeah, this you mentioned too, Jessica, this is a period piece. Oftentimes when you think about this movie, you think about the French Revolution. I don't know how much you guys have gone over French Revolution in your history classes. Maybe world civs. But the French Revolution is one of the most significant events in all of human history. Right? When the French decided that they were going to oust the king, right, and have this revolution. It was a much more significant revolution than even our own over here in America. But the bad part about it was it ended poorly. They ended up having a dictator for a while, Napoleon. And then after Napoleon was ousted, they went right back to square one. So this movie is interesting because you have that revolutionary feeling in the air, but this is like 20 or 30 years after the French Revolution. So oftentimes this movie gets associated with the French Revolution with a long time after it. That's definitely an interesting period piece. I could go on a whole lecture to you guys about the importance of the French Revolution. course, Stacy, Kashina, you guys were in 230 with me last semester where we read Man of Bovary. We talked about how, if you guys remember from that class, we talked about how that novel was a precursor to the French Revolution. Yeah, if you guys ever want to do some research, that's a great time period. If you just take American history in college, you don't get that French Revolution stuff so much, except for the fact that America wanted to intervene. Thomas Jefferson wanted to support the French, and Alexander Hamilton wanted to support the British. And we ended up supporting nobody. But it started a big political furor.
Alexander Hamilton's one of those historical characters that gets so much praise when I get that he had a rough childhood and he did some good things, but he's one of those historical figures that get on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like Thomas Jefferson was like, he was not a good person. I won't lie to you, but he had a great points. He was trying to help us stay away from a bunch of different wars, and he was right about a lot of things. Where Alexander Hamilton just kept going back and just like whispering things like he doesn't know what he's doing. His character alone made me so mad. Okay, I can go on a whole spiel about how much I hate Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, of course, Hamilton is, of course, a famous musical right now. You can watch the film version on Disney Plus if you have Disney Plus. Hamilton's came back into our pop culture recently, besides being on the $10 bill because of that musical. I taught that musical in this class before. I didn't do it this time because I didn't want, the only way to watch it is if you have Disney Plus. I didn't want to make you guys pay for a subscription just to watch one movie. But it's a really good musical, especially if you like hip hop music.
To be real, I hate that musical. That's one of the few musicals I cannot stand to watch.
Or just because of your disgust with Alexander Hamilton.
I a little bit. Like, I can't remember his name. He plays Alexander Hamilton in a lot of like different versions. He's when I wrote it. It's like Lynn something something. But writes amazing music. Cannot stand his voice. Cannot stand it. So that was another big issue. The reason why I hated the musical Hamilton.
We got to agree to disagree there, Jaden, because I like that musical a lot. There's not too many musicals I like, but this one and Hamilton are definitely two that I enjoy a lot.
Do you at least like Sweeney Todd? Because Miss Lovett was actually based on a real person, and I love that musical. I love the backstory of Miss Lovett. It's a really fun thing to look up if you ever have time.
It's been a long time since I've watched it, Jaden. I'd have to go back. It's been a long time since I've watched it.
It's so good. It has Johnny Depp and like Helen Bo Carter, two amazing actors and actresses. Fun fact: Helen Bo Carter almost every time, Johnny Depp and Helen Bo Carter in a Tim Burton film, Tim Burton has Johnny Depp kill Helen Bo Carter.
And Aline, you mentioned Grease. That's one musical I can't stand. I can't stand Grease. I don't know why. I can't even put my finger on why.
Well, what I liked it, it's just I didn't like the singing involved in it still, I was like, oh my God, just get to the point. So that's the only part about Grease that bothered me is, oh my God, stop that singing. It's annoying.
I don't like John Travolta that much. That might be why. I don't like him in Saturday Night Fever either.
I only like very few of his movies, not very many.
Guys, today's one of those days where we still have plenty to talk about, but we're out of time, unfortunately. A great film. I'm glad we did do musicals this semester, because I'm glad just because I went back to watch this film again. So yeah, you guys can't say I didn't give you some education in the musical genre.
Oh, you gave us a lot of education, I thought. But instead of the musicals and what was it, Vertigo? Is that the one I hated? I would have rather have seen one of the ones we missed, because I thought those would have probably been pretty good. But where you said we didn't have to do those movies that we ended up missing, I was like, oh, well, at least I don't have to keep these recordings and miss them. But I would have preferred those over top of the musicals and the Vertigo. I didn't like Vertigo. It drove me crazy.
Was it Vertigo or Mulholland Drive that drove you crazy?
Mulholland Drive, sorry. I get those two confused. Why? I don't know why. Those two kind of remind me of the same, I guess. But Mulholland Drive, it drove me insane. Yeah.
Yeah, Vertigo made Jaden motion sick. So Hitchcock achieved his effect. I think that was you, wasn't it, Jaden, who said that?
Vertigo, once you mentioned how I got motion sick. I don't get motion sick a lot, but that movie, oh my goodness, it about killed me.
So our last unit up is comedies. The first comedy we're watching is a Stanley Kubrick film. Because you remember Kubrick from The Clockwork Orange, right? But this is a Kubrick film called Dr. Strangelove. It's a Cold War era nuclear bomb sort of comedy. It's a comedy all about the end of the world, a nuclear holocaust, and they somehow make that into a comedy. So that's what you guys will be watching for Thursday. And Jules,
Is that available on anything?
you might know the answer to that, Jules, where you're presenting.
I think I found it on I just kind of typed in something like free movies, and it just came up on the internet.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. At least it's on something then. So good. It's a good movie. It's another black and white movie. So we're going to talk about one more black and white movie in here. But really funny, witty movie. So that's Thursday. Next Tuesday we will do the 16 Candles. Next Thursday we'll finish the class out with Aline doing Fargo.
Wait, what happened? What happened on Tuesday? Because today's Tuesday. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I cut Monty Python and the Grail where I had that doctor appointment last week. No,
I was thinking that because you said this Thursday coming, we're watching Strangelove, and I'm sitting there thinking, what happened to the Tuesday that day? And then I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you will be our presenter, Jules. So you've already got it done. So you got nothing to worry about. All right, guys. So it'll be a fun final week plus of the class doing comedies. So I look forward to it. So we'll see you guys again. Take another couple of days to do your paper if you need to. Take your time and breathe and give me the best paper you can. Polish them up as much as you can.
Honestly, don't think I done good on mine, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Yeah, I told the class earlier, Aline, before you came in, if you wanted to do a revision of the first paper, I will allow that. So if you want to do a revision, I don't remember what I gave you right off. If you want to do a revision for a better grade or whatever, you can for that first paper.
Just to make sure, you did extend the deadline to the second short paper until like the end of the week,
Yeah,
right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, so we'll see you guys on Thursday then. Take care.